I'm not gonna lie, I think this is pretty bad. I'm trying not to be like hyperbolic or anything, and maybe somebody in the comments can tell me if I'm overreacting. Hopefully I am, but the news just broke that SSENSE has filed for bankruptcy protection, which, as I understand it, I'm not Canadian, don't yell at me, is the Canadian equivalent of Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the US. If you don't know who SSENSE is, because you're not a shopping addict, they're an online Canadian e-tailer of luxury fashion, kind of like Farfetch, and they happen to be my favorite one. So obviously, very bad news for people who are in the luxury fashion sphere. But before I get into it, please do hit subscribe. It really helps me out, helps the channel grow. Yeah, so as I understand it, basically, SSENSE's creditors tried to get them to force them to sell the company because they basically owe them a lot of money. And they're saying, you know, okay, we want to get paid and you're not paying us at a fast enough rate or enough. So we're going to basically try and get you to force you to liquidate the company and get our money that way. The absolute definition of the phrase, "F you, pay me." That's gotta suck to be SSENSE. I mean, it's almost like a hostile takeover. It's a hostile sell over. And so SSENSE, in reaction to that, basically said they're gonna file for bankruptcy, which is a way to allow them, just like it is Chapter 11, allows them to restructure their debts so that they can either not pay them or pay significantly less, or just restructure the way that works to try and defend themselves from having to sell the company. Which is good because, SSENSE is, of all the kind of e-tailers, or even like places with retail, like Nordstrom or Neiman or whatever, probably my favorite one. And I think it's a lot of people's favorite because of the way that a number of things. The SSENSE sale, obviously, is a big one. That's a big crowd pleaser. But, I'll get into it a little bit later. But suffice it to say, it's not good for them. And I think it's not super surprising, and I was honestly kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. I say it's not that surprising because the main reason that we're here, cited in these articles or whatever, is that SSENSE, Canadian company, like I said, is suffering from the newly imposed tariffs, instituted by the US. Obviously, they have a huge base in the US of consumers, so they're getting hit super hard with that. I think it's 25% tariff, something like that. It's not just the tariffs. The de minimis loophole closes this Friday. Tomorrow? Which basically you don't have to pay duties on like goods under $800. So that's another big hit that they're anticipating. And obviously, this is a huge strain on the business. And then on top of all that, you've got a general luxury slowdown happening. I've talked about it on this channel before. People have noted LVMH is down, Kering is bigly down, and there's only a few luxury players that are like still up. I guess there's got to be some winners if there's losers, but almost everyone is really feeling the hurt. And then on top of that, you got all these extra pressures. It's real bad time for luxury retailers in general. Maybe not American ones, but we'll get into that, I guess. And none of this is happening in a vacuum. I mean, Matches Fashion shuttered earlier this year, I think. So just closed down. Or I think it was earlier this month. Luisaviaroma also, I think, filed for bankruptcy protection. There was just a consolidation between Yoox and Net-a-Porter. And then if you've been following the drama at all, Saks has had a very similar like creditor issue where they've been not even so much with their creditors, but literally with like the luxury brands that they work with, they've been like not paying them. So and that's all in the background of like Saks trying to do a big merger with Neiman Marcus. So it's all very like, oh, just wait, bro, we're so close, I promise you. Oh, and Farfetch got sold too. So that's like all of them. So things are obviously bad for luxury retailers. And I also think they're getting pretty bad for us consumers too. So it's probably not hard to put two and two together here. But again, I'm someone who shopped at SSENSE probably more so than all of these. But at some point in time, I'm sure I've bought a piece here and there from all of these places. I know I've bought from Farfetch. I think I've bought from Mr. Porter before. I think I've bought from Net-a-Porter. I've definitely bought from Yoox, Saks. The thing about these things is you wait for like a good deal as seasons wrap up. They put their stuff on sale. SSENSE in particular has been known for the SSENSE sale because they gradually mark stuff down until it's like 70% off. That's huge. And I've always wondered, like, man, they can sell stuff on serious margins. They can cut it down to 70%. That's when you really know what something's actually worth and what they actually paid for it. Because then it goes on final sale. They're like, Yeah, we're not taking it back after this one. But that's great, you know, like you put the stuff out there at full price so the people who can afford it or want to jump on earlier or for which money is no object. As an aside, I'm always annoyed when like a really cool item sells for full price, like right when it goes up. I'm like, you rich bastard. You just know it's someone who has like a personal shopper or something. Whatever. I'm happy for him. Must be nice. But yeah, it almost felt like democratizing in a way of like, ooh, if I just wait. And we've all played the waiting game with the Essence sale, right? You look at how many are left. Like, oh, there's one left. But it's only at 60%. I bet you it'll drop it one more time. And everyone's like got a digital gun pointed at each other, just waiting. So, okay, so the silver lining of this is to say that Essence says they're gonna fight for the company to keep it going. Good, because I don't want Essence to go away. I don't want any of them to go away. Again, just because Essence is my favorite, like the thing we need to focus on here and why I say this is bad for the consumer is monopolies are obviously bad for customers. It lets companies kind of set their own prices. They don't have any competition. They're not required to innovate at all or do anything interesting or they can just jack up prices and they're the only game in town. So we got to go to there. And the more of these luxury retailers I see shuttering, the more it makes me think, well, the model is just screwed. But also we're going to see more and more luxury houses. We're already seeing it, for the record, pull their stuff back in-house. Like you look at Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton controls all their own sales. So you buy from Louis Vuitton stores exclusively or on the web exclusively. And because of that, they never go on sale and they can just control their own pricing. And that's why it's insanely expensive. Not to say that all of these aren't insanely expensive. They obviously are. But like Gucci goes on sale, bruh. I got a freaking Gucci monogram sweater for a song because I found it on like End or something for just stupid cheap. It was end of the season sale. They were clearing stuff out. Boom, sniper shot. Or like Chanel, I think has some weird deal with like Nordstrom or something where they sell a couple things in there. But again, for the most part, if you think of the most expensive and exclusive brands, they all pretty much have started shifting into this model or working away from a retailer model. Even brands that like Prada that do have some outlets, I've heard anyway, and this is hearsay, that they're going to start thinking about pulling back on that model because, and we've said this before, the luxury retailer space is all about, or the luxury retail space is all about cultivating this air of exclusivity. And the more you allow your stuff to go on sale or be attainable, it actually kind of hurts your image a little bit. So, I mean, there was just where the hell was it? There was a Burberry end of season sale. I'm going to forget the retailer it was, but there was stuff going for 80% off. And I really needed to not buy anything, so I didn't, but I was like, damn. I was real tempted there because, I mean, you know, when are you going to get that chance? But the more places pull their stuff in-house, the less you're going to be seeing that. And the more you're going to see the classic, like, oh, oops, we burned all of our unsold stock rather than sell it to you for a discount. Whoopsie. Oops, all dumpster. Interestingly enough, I actually kind of wondered about this because if you don't follow him, you should give him a follow. GeoCasket on Instagram did a Substack article about this just like last week. And I want to quote him here so I don't get it wrong, but it was basically, it was focused on, as he is, on like Rick Owens' side of things, but it was called something to the effect of like, yeah, 70% isn't enough, SS25 sale data analysis. And he did some deep dives on this stuff and found this season, the average markdowns for all Rick Owens menswear was 50% off, with 40% of inventory reduced between 50 to 70%. And then he did some breakdowns on the cost. The facts of rising prices are that deep forever sales are the industry's necessary countermeasure. What's my point? Since prices are skyrocketing, retailers are marking down equally low. Yeah, so it's just like this unstoppable force meeting this immovable object, right? People don't have the money to buy this stuff. This stuff needs to be sold, so we're gonna mark it down. Like, in a way, it's actually not bad to see because, you know, these fashion houses are getting a little bit of like comeuppance for the insane skyrocketing prices that they've put into place. You know, it was like COVID, everyone got stimulus checks. Well, let's pump everything up. And, you know, it's the story with everything else and inflation, but like it's greed. It's corporate greed, and it's coming back to bite them in the ass. The problem is that it's now hurting these retailers, which is going to in turn hurt us. I hope I'm wrong. And again, someone in the comments, please do explain to me if there's like a light at the end of the tunnel or a glimmer of hope here. But all I see is that retailer space shrinking, which is already, you know, I say retailer, e-tailer. Like the retail space is screwed. Like, when's the last time you went into a store? I shouldn't say that. I go into stores all the time. But like, you understand my point. Like, retail is in shambles. Now online retailers are hurting. everything's just going to go in-house, and they're just going to be able to completely control the pipeline. So I guess the silver lining I'll try and put on this for myself is like, I think I bought something last year from, I think it was the Fashion Square, which I hadn't seen before. I don't know if it's underground, they're just starting up or what, but they actually had an interesting pricing model. I think it was like Farfetch, where they work with different retailers like around the world. That's kind of what Farfetch does. They just like, they have stuff listed from a bunch of different stores. And they said like, you had like a name your price. So I put in a low, it's like Grail, you put in a bid, and then the stores like could counter offer, decide if they want to bite on my low ball essentially. But it was new, it wasn't used stuff, and they did, and I got a piece from them. So I'm still seeing like that's an innovation in the retail space, and one that benefited me because I was actually able to get something for a little bit cheaper. So I'm hoping to see that the space is not dead and that newcomers can kind of swoop in and innovate in that way. At the same time, I also think like just because Louis Vuitton, I'm going to say it more extreme every time I say it, takes their stuff in-house, doesn't mean that they're going to be able to keep raising prices. I think they can obfuscate a little bit better because you don't see them go on sale. You don't know what their inventory is, and you don't know as much what their numbers are. But they'll still know, and they'll know if they're not selling. So if something comes through and they're like, oh, we have really raised the prices too much, we got to back off, they're going to back off. Or they'll just become Hermes and only sell to insane rich people, which could happen. But then it's not for us, and we say bye-bye. We say bye-bye. The tariffs are hurting things. Again, I'm not going to get political, but it sucks. It sucks to see. I hope Essence pulls out through this, and I hope we can still get our 70% sales. You know, you dig? It also, just as an aside, I mean, Essence, the reason why I like it, aside from just the Essence sale, I think they have the best interface. It's just kind of funny because, again, as a designer, like, it's not the most beautiful interface. It's just the best UI. Like, even that big long column of designers, like, you would think, oh, that's bad design. It's like, no, it's just, it's functional. I like something nice and functional. And also, like, they do a really good job of, like, exposing people to new designers. The way that they kind of put stuff up, you click the sale and everything's kind of put together. And you get, like, I've found a bunch of new stuff through Essence specifically. And Essence does like cool like blog posts and stuff like that. They're a cool company. I hope that they can figure this thing out and restructure and pay their creditors, and we'll all go riding off into the sunset together wearing some Rick Owens ponchos. Anyway, that's the story for today. Again, please do subscribe if you haven't yet, and leave a like on this video if you appreciate it, and do leave a comment. Sound off about Essence and what you think. Who's your favorite retailer? What's your favorite capitalist business enterprise? But that's all I got for you today. Hope you guys have a good one. See ya.